HARK, we are here. It is time for yet another Star Wars Unlimited video, and we have a little bit more information than I expected to be able to preview in this video. So we have cards from over the weekend from Wossy Plays. We have cards from the FFG live stream. We have art from over the weekend, and then I also have notes from the FFG live stream that will be able to go over what they specifically said. A couple of interesting things, a couple of clarifications, some questions. A lot of good stuff came out of that live stream, and I'm excited for what's coming soon for the game, especially through the Gen Con demos and all that other lovely stuff. So we're gonna start with cards, we're gonna go to art, and then we'll go to the FFG live recap. So over the weekend, a content creator by the name of Wossy Plays, I believe that's how you pronounce it, was able to preview 2 cards from the base set of Spark of Rebellion. They're interesting cards, and what this does actually is it gives me hope that as we get further along and potentially into future sets, more content creators are going to be getting previews, world exclusives, whatever you want to call them, of cards that'll be coming out. Hopefully yours truly too. Getting right into these specific cards, we have a Vigilance character here, the Cloud City Wing Guard. 3 cost, 2 power, 4 health. It has Sentinel, and this is going to be one of the identifying factors of Vigilance, at least in the first set, because Sentinel says units in this arena cannot attack your non-Sentinel units or your base. So it's basically a mandatory blocker. It's got taunt if you're familiar with Hearthstone, of all those other different types of things. This has to die first or be taken out of play before your opponent can attack your other units or your base in the ground arena. This is given a continuation of what we've seen for the types of characters we're going to see in Vigilance. We saw it's not Coruscant, but it's Consular Security Force, which was a big chunky card, but again, big defense. It's got a big butt basically with a small amount of attack, so it can take more attacks and it's not dishing out as much, but the idea isn't for it to go kill everything else, it's to protect your stuff from being killed. Fringe, interesting keyword here. We don't know what that's gonna mean too much more, but given the fact that it's a Cloud City Trooper, as I like to call them, if that's what they were originally named in the original Star Wars card game, that them being Fringe means Fringe could be tied to specifically authoritative forces in non-imperial governments, or specifically anything that's outside of the normal military style that is a guard or a trooper or something. Who knows? Fringe is an interesting keyword. That's the point I'm trying to make. And then we have the Viper Probe Droid from Empire Strikes Back. Both of these actually from Empire Strikes Back. 2 cost villainy. It's a 3 power, 2 health Imperial droid. When played, look at an opponent's hand. I like this because it allows you to get some information, especially early game. You could play this right as you start the game as your first unit on the ground and be like, okay, what did my opponent start with? And then be able to check those things out. And because it's cheap, the value of looking at an opponent's hand is going to be good across the game, unless you're in a position of, well, I'm losing, so whatever my opponent has in their hand doesn't matter. But this could be your securing victory going into the final couple of actions before you wipe out your opponent's base and therefore beat them. Because if you can drop this probe droid, look at their hand and see they've got nothing to defend themselves or nothing coming up that's going to spoil your plans, you just go all out and bada boom, unless they're drawing cards, which so far not a lot draws cards. Yoda, one of the few card draw effects, but he has to die for that to happen. I Am Your Father, but conditional card draw. It is what it is. And then obviously 2 cards at the end of the turn for each player. So interesting couple of cards here. I like the Viper Probe Droid. It is Imperial, so it's going to definitely fit into Imperial decks. It's a 3/2 for 2. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's on par with what the Imperials seem to be wanting to do, which is just getting something out there, make it do its 1 or 2 attacks, and then it blows up and dies, and you refresh it with just infinite resources. Our next batch of cards comes from the June 27th FFG Live that gave us a quick sneak preview on a couple of different things that were released to us as part of the live stream, but not necessarily included as part of the Quickstart rules that were also released this morning. We're just going to get right into it. Not a crazy amount of stuff that's super fancy. Obviously, we've seen this Leia leader already, but the big thing here is we have our first aggression base, which is the Catacombs of Cadera on Jeddah, which has got 30 health as all bases do, but it is specifically aggression. So this is our aggression base. That means we've seen 3 of the 4 types of aggression of bases. But on top of that, we also have the Dagobah Swamp, which is our vigilance base. So now, officially, we have seen all of the aspect bases that are needed to be able to do leader-based combinations. So as part of the live stream, which I'll go over a little bit of this later, in terms of our bigger conversation about the live stream, they did state that there were more than 4 bases in the first set, which is fantastic. And then I did skip over it just because I wanted to get to it. One of the things they previewed here was this little image, which we've seen before, except there is one additional piece here, and I know this isn't the greatest quality. I'll try to see if I can go back and improve the quality of it itself, but this is a cell block guard, which is a 3 cost, 3 attack, or 3 power, 3 health Imperial Trooper villainy that has Sentinel on it, much like the other thing. So you have to attack this before you attack any of the other units or the base. I don't know if this replaces... I guess I could double check the number here. Nope, can't double check the number. This might be the clearest image I can get of this until such time that I can go back to the live stream and full screen blow it up, but we'll see what ends up happening when it comes to that. But the rest of it, we've seen the Alliance X-Wing, the TIE Line Fighter, the Yoda, the Administrator's Tower base, the Command Center. So these are the other 2 bases. But those are the 3 cards as previewed as part of the FFG live stream that I was able to watch at the beginning of the day. You can see the whole screen is upside down. As of the day of recording, FFG has done 2 things. They've released the Quickstart Rules officially, so now all the creators that want to be able to experience the Quickstart Rules can. And they also had an FFG Live talking a little bit about the Quickstart Rules, as well as a couple of other things that are associated with the rules and the Gen Con demos that are coming up. So I have a list here of me going through information that was revealed. I'm not gonna put the image here on everything because you guys don't care about the text. You just want to hear what has to be said. One of the things they did specifically state is that they will be working with creators to preview more of the game through the game's lifetime, not just these opening cards here for Spark of Rebellion, but card previews for creators as the game lifespan continues, which is fantastic. I'm hoping I can get a couple of previews for you all to see. I got to figure out if they're going to contact me, if I got to contact them. I'll figure it out and get back to you as soon as I can. Clarifying global release. Josh, the organized play guy, wanted to specifically squash all doubt, and I appreciate this because I already knew this was going to be the case, but it's something that has come up on Reddit and is an issue for people trying to nitpick the word choice. People are thinking something is going on with the specific usage of words, and it's not the case. So clarifying that the global release is a simultaneous global release, which means that the game in 2024 will release for everyone, and there's nothing coming before that, so far as we know. I don't think there's going to be anything coming before that. I think 2024 is everybody's going to get everything all at the same time. No early releases for anyone anywhere, and that's going to be it. They did go and break down each of the things that are associated with the quick start rules, going through how the game starts, the round rules, the how units interact with the arenas, how the turn structure is supposed to go, and then end of game timekeeping, so on and so forth. Not exactly timekeeping, but something associated with it. So one of the things they did state is that starting with 2 resources instead of 1 or none allowed players to really get into the action like a Star Wars movie, and gets people into being able to, as you do your 1 resource per turn, allows you to get to the higher and higher cost things, especially with the epic actions for leaders. And they did semi-spoil that there will be a Star Destroyer unit, but they didn't specifically say what it would do, or anything associated with that. But I'm excited because Star Destroyers are dope. And they did spend a lot of time in R&D on the resource system to generate the best feeling experience. And they got it down to starting with 2 resources, putting a resource at the end of each round after you draw your cards for the turn, for the round, and you're not required to put a resource on the board every turn, which is another interesting aspect, is that you can choose to just keep the 2 cards that you've drawn as opposed to trying to pick something to drop a resource. If you have enough resources and you don't want to go any further, you have the ability to keep those cards in hand. One of the things they went through is that characters can be represented by different aspects on different cards. We have seen this already with the Leia unit that is Cunning and the Leia leader that is Command. One of the things they did say, and I'll go over this again later, is that they are aware of the uniqueness issue issue, but they aren't going to address it at this time. They just want the demos to go smoothly at Gen Con with the Quickstart Rules. That's why they released them at this point in time. But they are aware of that, and they will address it at a later date. Spaces will always be non-heroism and non-villainy aspects, which means they're only ever going to be command, vigilance, aggression, and cunning. Couldn't remember the last one. And so far, just one of each of those. And as we've seen one cunning, one command, one vigilance, and one aggression. I have to get those in my head. We have seen one of each of those. But that is not the limitation of the amount of bases in the first set. There will be more, which means you can have thematic locations for the leaders you choose to play. Ground units are going to potentially have better stats for their costs compared to space units. They want the game to be focused on ground, but at the same time, you can choose to dedicate more of your deck building space to using space units. So that way, if that lane is open for quick, easy attacks, you can do so. There's nothing wrong with dedicating yourself to space units, but you probably do want to have some ground forces to defend against what may be a heavy ground deck that your opponent is playing. Just depends on what your specific style of gameplay is. I will absolutely try an all space deck, no questions asked. Maybe not initially, but it will definitely happen at some point. One thing that they did specifically state is that they wanted players to be able to get everything they need to play the game out of the booster packs for limited experiences, but Josh guarantees that there will be organized play tokens because he wants to clutter all the space, because people do genuinely like FFG tokens. I like them. I know they do cause issues from time to time, but I love them. I love FFG tokens. I like the shield. I like the bucks. I like the health tokens that we got in Destiny. All that good stuff, all that lovely stuff. But they did want it focused on the actual tokens on an individual card are going to be the damage ones, while the shields and experience tokens are cards that are placed underneath the character, so that way they can be referenced differently. And when you look top down on a game, you always know what's going on at a glance. And that was a decision as to why they made units have their art at the top and text at the bottom, and then the events have art on the bottom and text at the top. Again, at a glance, you know what's happening. They have stated that there's no specific draft product. All limited play can be done exclusively through booster products. There will be no Destiny style draft products. I don't know if you can see it right there. On top of that, that's two of the old Destiny draft products on top of a box of Resurgence. So at some point in time, I'm going to do Sealed and Draft with some friends. Quickstart Rules are the beginning, but there will be a full rulebook / reference doc later online addressing all the minutia of things that need to be addressed in terms of uniqueness, or how space and ground units interact with effects, not necessarily attacks. We know attacks are limited to ground, space, but if something says one unit and doesn't specifically state one ground unit, one space unit, one non-ground unit, one non-space unit, that's something that they might have to address at a later date. They did have a couple of questions here, and I'm going to go over them here pretty quickly. The first question was, do players have to agree which side is what arena? Generally, you're going to want to just talk to your opponent to say, hey, how do you want this to work? But the official rule is the first person who plays a unit on the board decides which goes where. Some people are probably going to be stuck with ground on the right, space on the left. I'm just going to ask my opponent, hey, what's your preference? We'll just go with what yours is, because I don't really care. Another question that was asked, which I addressed earlier, are there more bases? Yes, there are more than 4 bases in set 1. That was all they wanted to say. Big question here, game time length. I talked about this in the previous FFG stream. That was back in episode 1.5. Go check that out if you haven't already. It varies. The first games will take longer as you learn the game and learn the ropes and learn how each of the different things work, kind of like every game. Typical games are between 10 and 20 minutes. They have had games on the short end of aggressive decks playing for 5 minutes, and they have had long end games of playing over 30 minutes when it comes to mirror matches or aggressive control, basically meaning that everything is being controlled, not necessarily you have aggression and also control. And then the last question here was they are aware of the issue with uniqueness, specifically Leia leader and Leia unit. More information to that will be occurring later, but they did want to acknowledge that it is a question that they are aware of. They just want people to get started started with the Gen Con stuff and go, because there likely are no interactions with that in the Gen Con demo decks. They're releasing the rules now so that people have info going about the rules going into the Gen Con demo, so they kind of know what's going on, and so that they are prepared. But the other thing I thought was interesting is that they specifically called out that this is the English language version of the Quickstart Rules, because Gen Con is the first public testing day, which will be players mostly in English, almost completely in English, but they will be releasing alternate language Quickstart Rules down the line. If I see those, I will link to those in the description here, and I will also link to them on Twitter, so please follow me, twitter.com/RybackStun. One of the things I'd like to point out about these FFG live streams, I've seen them in both of their streams, the dynamic between the three people that are there, Josh, Danny, and Jim, it's very light. It's they're having a good time, they're joking around, they're talking about different things, trying to compare the different versions of the rules that they've been going through since they've been working on this game for 3+ years. And I like the fact that the developers seem like they're having fun. The developers seem like they know that this is a serious thing that's coming up, but at the same time, it's not so super serious that they can't just have a little bit of fun. And I think that's going to make for a great game moving forward, because they're aware that games are supposed to be fun, but there is competition involved with them. That's why they have the organized play guy there, Josh, and then you have your game developers, strategy, all that other stuff, Danny and Jim. Jim has been watching content creator videos. Hi, Jim. I hope you're having a great day today. I hope everybody is enjoying this video. And that's the notes here from the FFG live stuff. So that's all we've got for today. I was going to go over some Reddit stuff, but the video is already long enough, so we'll just deal with that. Links to the Wossy Plays video for his previews, the FFG live stream for their previews and information, and then the tweets that are associated with the art and other things that are out there will be in the description below. I don't know if there will be a pinned tweet this week for Reddit. I haven't posted a thread, and Reddit's kind of been on its own tilt as of right now, which is fantastic. I love seeing the description there. Star Wars Unlimited subreddit, not TCG, just Star Wars Unlimited. That's the one that I'm going to be repping and supporting for now, hopefully getting us up there in population. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining me today. Once again, I'm having a lot of fun talking about this game, getting ready for this game as it happens. We've got a lot of things that are going to be very exciting, and Gen Con right around the corner. We've got, I believe it's like a month from now, if I haven't already said that before. I've recorded and re-recorded these a couple of times, so I don't remember where everything is. I'm excited for Star Wars Limited. I hope you are too. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about the Quickstart rules as they've been released, the information we got from FFG Live, and then also what you think about creator previews and what you're hoping to see over the next couple of days. I've been told that there is a Saga video going up today as of the actual release of this video, Wednesday, June 28th, that might have other previews in it. If that's the case, make sure you go check them out. They're a fun group of individuals. And please, go check out everybody that's doing content on YouTube for Star Wars Unlimited. The more people that are creating content, the better it is for getting word out to other people about how cool this game is going to be. I think it's going to be fantastic, but you let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe to the video, hit the bell for notifications about my stuff coming out immediately. I hate these stupid YouTube things at the end, but if I'm going to grow, I need to do them, and I hope that you join me in accomplishing those goals as well. Working on a redesign of the art and stuff for YouTube, so that should be forthcoming. I don't know when. Anyway, that's it for me, folks. We'll see you all next time, and I will see you in the stars.